Back in 2008, NVIDIA launched the Quadro FX 4800 with a price tag of around $2,000. And if you adjust that for inflation today, that's over $3,000, which is crazy. Because with that kind of money now, you could literally buy something like an RTX 5090. But here's the twist. This wasn't even made for gamers, it was designed for professional workloads, 3D rendering, CAD, heavy graphics tasks, and yet, today I'm going to try and game on it, just to see how bad it really is. And you're about to witness one of the most brutal overclocking sessions ever inflicted on this GPU. But first, I need to get my hands on one. I found one listed on Facebook Marketplace for about $90, and honestly, that felt way too expensive. So I checked Amazon, and I couldn't believe my eyes. The prices there were absolutely insane. Finally, I turned to eBay. And yeah, there are tons of old parts being sold for ridiculous prices because sellers know they're rare and they can charge whatever they want. But then I found this one for just $8. Now, there is a catch. It's heavily scratched, both on the front and the back. But at that price, I had to take the risk. Because now I really want to know, what exactly am I about to get myself into? After about 5 days, the package finally arrived. And, oh no, there's literally a hole in the box. Yeah, that's probably from shipping. Not exactly a great sign. All right, let's open it up and see if anything inside got damaged. And surprisingly, the seller actually packed it really well. Honestly, it feels like the packaging alone could have cost half the price of the GPU. But here's the part that really surprised me. The condition. It looks way better than the photos on eBay. There are still some light scratches, sure, but for an 18-year-old GPU, I really can't complain. But then I noticed something weird. The I/O bracket is bent inward, and I just sat there thinking, what did this GPU actually go through? Luckily, that's not a huge issue. I can just bend it back into shape with some pliers, but the real problem is something else. The fan is literally cracked in half, and it looks like the seller tried to glue it back together. And it doesn't stop there. The outer shroud is also loose and unstable. So yeah, that probably explains why this thing was only $8. Before I go any further, I need to know one thing. Does this thing even work? Now, since this is a workstation card, it comes with more connectivity than usual. Not just one, but 2 display ports, plus a DVI port, and even an older legacy connector. So I started with DisplayPort, powered on the system, and nothing. No signal. I tried again, switched cables, switched ports, still nothing. No image at all. And the motherboard's debug light is stuck on the GPU error. Just to be sure, I swapped in another graphics card, and instantly, the system boots perfectly. So yeah, the problem is definitely this GPU. At this point, I started to get really confused, because the listing never actually said the card was tested and working, which technically means the seller could have sold me a completely dead GPU and still be in the clear. So I messaged the seller, asking if they had tested it, and the only thing I got back was silence, and right then, I started thinking, yeah, I might have just been scammed. But this isn't the end yet, because there's still one thing I haven't tried, the DVI port. The problem is, I don't have a monitor that supports DVI, so I had to spend another $8 just to buy a DVI to HDMI adapter, and yeah, that's almost the price of the GPU itself, which honestly feels pretty ridiculous. At this point, this is my last hope. If this doesn't work, then I've basically wasted $16 for nothing. No GPU, no performance, just a dead piece of hardware. And just when I was about to give up, you won't believe this, it actually worked. Through the DVI port. I'm guessing these older GPU just don't play well with DisplayPort, which honestly makes sense considering how old this card is. Now that I finally have a display, everything seems usable. But there's still a problem. There's a weird black border around the screen, which usually means the driver isn't properly installed. Alright, no problem. Let's install the driver. I went with version 342.01. The last official driver from NVIDIA that supports older architectures like Tesla, including the Quadro FX 4800. After this version, NVIDIA basically stopped updating support for these cards. But even after installing it, something still wasn't right. The resolution looked correct, but a lot of the driver components didn't install properly. After digging deeper, I found the real issue. It was caused by leftover driver conflicts. So here's what I did. Downloaded Display Driver Uninstaller, DDU, booted into safe mode, completely removed all NVIDIA driver traces, restarted the system. But there was another problem. I'm running Windows 1022 H2, which came out years after this driver. There's about a 6-year gap between the driver and the operating system. And that's exactly why things started breaking. So instead of installing it normally, I had to try a different approach to get this driver working properly. So at this point, I had no choice. I needed to mod the driver to make it work on this version of Windows. And surprisingly, it's not as complicated as it sounds. First, I extracted the driver package. Then I went into the display.driver folder and found a file called nv_disp.inf. This is basically the file that tells Windows which GPU the driver supports. Next, I opened it with Notepad and looked for the section called NVIDIA_devices.ntamd64.10.0. This is where modern Windows versions are defined. From here, I manually added a new line with the PCI ID of the Quadro FX4800. In simple terms, I'm just telling Windows, hey, this driver actually supports this GPU. Then I scrolled down to the string section and added the display name for the card. So when the driver installs, it shows up correctly as Quadro FX4800 instead of some unknown device. And just like that, the driver is now modded and ready to install. Now, I'm not a professional tutorial guy or anything, but if you run into a similar issue and need help, feel free to ask. I'll try my best to help you out. Now, after modifying the driver, there's one very important step that a lot of people forget. You need to disable driver signature enforcement, because once you mod the driver, it's no longer officially signed by Windows. And if you skip this step, Windows simply won't let you install it. Here's how I did it. Hold Shift and click Restart. Go to Troubleshoot. Select Startup Settings, then press 7 to disable driver signature enforcement. Super simple. After that, it's time to install the driver manually. So I went into Device Manager, selected the GPU, and clicked Update Driver. Then choose Browse My Computer, click Have Disk, and point it to the INF file that I just modified. And just like that, Windows finally recognizes the driver and starts installing it for the card. Now let's see if everything actually works. Before jumping into games, I wanted to run a quick test using Unigine Heaven Benchmark. At 1080p low settings, it averages around 40 frames per second. The minimum drops to about 8 frames per second, and the max hits around 65 frames per second. Overall, it's not amazing, but it's also not terrible, especially for a GPU from 2008. But then something weird happened. Right after the test, the driver started acting up, almost like some of the features just stopped working. So I went ahead and reinstalled the driver again. And thankfully, the system recognized it properly this time. Alright, time for the real test, games. But here's the limitation. This GPU only supports DirectX 10, which means I can't run modern titles like Fortnite or The Witcher 3. So I'll have to stick with older games. First up, Minecraft. At 32 chunks, FPS sits around 50 FPS. Not quite the ideal 60 FPS, but still very playable. But then I turned on shaders, and oh my god, it completely falls apart. The FPS drops all the way down to around 15 FPS, and temperatures shoot up close to 80 degrees Celsius. Yeah, that's rough. Next up is Tomb Raider 2013. At 1080p low settings, the game averages around 63 frames per second. That's actually pretty solid. Alright, now it's time to push this GPU to its limits. Since the cooling isn't great, I started by increasing the fan speed, then added a slight overclock, plus 50 MHz on memory plus 40 MHz on core. Let's test it again with the same settings. First run, temperature drops by about 10 degrees Celsius, and FPS increases by around 7 FPS. Not bad. Second run, this time temperatures go even lower, down to around 60 degrees Celsius. But keep in mind the fan is now running at 85% speed. Performance only improves by about 4 frames per second compared to before. Third run, temperature climbs back up to around 67 degrees Celsius, and FPS barely improves, only about 1.6 FPS. Average now sits around 75 FPS. Fourth run, this is where things get interesting. It suddenly jumps to around 80 frames per second. Fifth run, we hit 84 frames per second, but temperatures also rise to about 70 degrees Celsius. And then something happens. The core clock suddenly drops from 783 MHz down to 400 MHz. That's thermal throttling. The GPU is basically protecting itself from overheating. And yeah, this is pretty much the absolute limit of this card. At this point, I don't really want to push it any further because honestly, it's still working pretty well. And I'd rather keep it alive than risk killing it with an aggressive overclock. If you want to see more videos where I upgrade and push old Office PC to their limits, go ahead and click the video on the screen right now. I'll see you there.